Hi everyone, this is Joanna Pachowski from the Accountable Mindset. Welcome to today's live, which will be on the topic of supercharging your mind again, and specifically about what I call mindset monsters and how we can deal with them and get rid of them. So first of all, it's always worth considering and remembering that when it comes to what we do and how we act, up to 80% of what we do is driven one way or another by psychology. And psychology means it is a combination of mindset, which is the topic of today, and also different things like beliefs, for example. So what I want to focus on today is really how the mindset, considering the importance it has and the influence it has on what we do and how we do it, how it can actually help or not help us to achieve what we want. And when it's maybe not quite where we want it to be, how we can actually influence it and improve it. So it's supporting us in what we want to achieve as opposed to maybe obstructing us. So when we think about mindset, it's sometimes easy to think that it's something that's quite static. So sometimes we say, someone has a positive mindset or someone has a negative mindset, and it seems almost like this is something that's forever. And that's not quite like this. So mindset can change. It can vary throughout the day, throughout the months. It can vary even from one moment to another. And the reason for that is that we can actually decide how we approach things and with what, from what angle and which way we decide to look at things. And really, this is what shapes the mindset. And in turn, our mindset shapes and determines sometimes what we do and how we do it as well. So thoughts, what I always think is worth remembering is that what we think forms how we feel about certain things. And this in turn leads to some of the decisions we make. And finally, it also forms beliefs. So actually, depending on how we think, with which type of mindset we approach things, this then shapes very much our beliefs. And I come to, in a moment, why this really matters and why this can create some of the what I call mindset monsters. So why can our mindset change? Why can we influence it? So when you think about what happens in our brain, so our body sends every second about 11 million signals to the brain. So that's bits, almost like a computer processor. And our brain, however, consciously, out of these 11 million signals, can only process consciously 50. So our brain gets literally bombarded every second with signals, and then we make a decision how we absorb them or not, which ones we filter out, because clearly a lot of them we are going to ignore, not notice, and eliminate, compress, just to be able to consciously absorb those 50 every single second. And when we talk about mindset, there are normally three categories I find that really amount to what constitutes our mindset. And these three categories are fear, the scarcity mindset, and the third one is self-limiting beliefs. And I want to talk about all three of them because they are the ones that are most commonly found, and most challenges that we face around mindset tend to fall in one of these three categories. And talking about them, first of all, the fear. So very often when we look at something we want to achieve, at a goal, we are fearful of the size of it, the challenge of it, maybe the novelty of it. So overall, we really fear that we might not be up to the task, not be able to achieve it. So overall, we have a fear of failure in such a situation. And very often, this is actually not something that is tangible, because very often, especially when we start doing something new, and our mind actually doesn't know what might happen, the fear of the unknown is actually what can paralyze or distract or stop us from doing something most. So my recommendation, and I come to this in more detail as well, is that around fear, the best counter for it are facts and information and data. So where the fear is something of something that we haven't done before, that might seem really, really huge, very novel, looking really at what the reality is as opposed to what our mind might be making up and that imagination might be making up in that moment, is a really good counter. But also what I like is that the abbreviation of fear, FEAR, which I've seen stand for the false expectations appearing real. And this very much highlights as well that very often fear is around something that is actually not real. And because we might have not experienced it before, we actually don't know anything about it or not enough. And what I also like is that there's a Chinese sign for fear, and that also stands for opportunity. So actually, what it says is that fear can be also an opportunity to face something new, face a new challenge, and actually grow. And with this, I'm going to come to the second type of mindset challenges that we encounter most. And this is the scarcity mindset. And when we think about that, what does a scarcity mindset look like? So if you ever have thought, I don't have enough money, if you want to invest, or if you want maybe to go on a big trip, and you think, well, I actually can't do it, I don't have enough money, I can't resign because I don't have enough money, or I cannot maybe give to charity because I don't have enough money. All these potentially are is a scarcity mindset where we just think what we have is not enough. And also, when you think about things like when we think, there is, I don't have enough courage, for example. So again, lacking something. This is a scarcity mindset. Or even thinking about there is no support. So if you are thinking about maybe setting up a new business or looking at starting a new hobby, you might think, well, I really won't find anyone to help me, to show me that I will not know which kit I need, what's going to work. All these things can fall under the scarcity mindset, and where we just feel there's not enough of something, whether it's inside us or around us. But this can all contribute to us not doing something, and from a mindset point of view, stopping us from achieving something and growing. So very often, when it comes to scarcity mindset, it is also the opposite of a growth mindset, where someone is just aiming for more, to grow, to acquire new skills, looking at new opportunities. And that can be quite self-limiting, which is actually the third group of challenges that people very often face around mindset. And these are the self-limiting beliefs. And there's some overlap with the scarcity mindset as well at times. So when you, again, good examples of what self-limiting belief looks like in real life is when people around you, or even are saying, or even you might be thinking things like, I've seen all those stories, none of them are true. Or when you start maybe something new and exciting, are looking to doing something different, someone might say, I've seen this all before, this has never worked. Also, you might be thinking, I'm not good at this. That's a self-limiting belief as well. Everyone all my life has been telling me that, for example, let's take an example, jumping out of a plane, parachuting is dangerous, right? So you might not even notice that this then becomes a self-limiting belief, because if you think something is dangerous, might even cost you your life, right? You wouldn't do it, would you? I mean, why, right? And questioning why this is the case and whether it's really true or a self-limiting belief is really the first step to overcoming that as well. So when we then talk about the three limiting beliefs, and do let me know if you have any questions at any point in time, please, about any of this mindset points. So just to sum it up, so the most of the challenges around mindset fall in three categories. So one is fear, the second one is scarcity mindset, and the third one is self-limiting beliefs. So I want to talk a bit more about how to overcome it, how to overcome them, and how actually make things happen, even though you might be fearful, or you might have a scarcity mindset, or you might have some self-limiting beliefs. So when we do something new or look at something that we haven't done before, very often our primal instincts kick in. And primal instincts are all about self-preservation. So when you think about the ancient times where humans, all we had to protect ourselves are our baby sticks, we were hunted by wild animals. We had very limited options how we could get away, right, and protect ourselves. So it was really about fighting was one option, of course. The other one was flight, which is just running away and hiding or getting away. And the third one is avoiding the danger, the problem. And these are really the primal instincts. And very often we actually choose to not fight because we think the risk of to us, to our health, to our life. And again, this is very primal, but this is subconsciously very often what we feel. And the self-preservation just automatically kicks in, and we just decide not to do it. We stay away from something that might have an undisclosed consequence to us, something that we cannot really assess or judge at that point in time. So what is always helpful to ask yourself is, what's the worst that can happen? And I find this quite a powerful question, because very often when you ask the question, what's the worst that can happen, and start breaking it down, turns out that even the worst is not by far as bad as you think. So I went paragliding a few years ago, and I have at the same time, I love flying. Anything that's in the air, I absolutely love. But also, I'm really worried about the lack of control, since I don't fly an aircraft, for example, myself. It would be with someone else. And paragliding especially, I thought was just being so exposed. If you fell down, then, obviously you're not protected in any way. You're just hanging in there literally below a bit of a canopy. And I thought, well, what's the worst that can happen, right? When you look at the accidents or number of accidents that happen, there aren't really any, because if there was one, they would stop the whole venture from that particular location. So when I thought the rationale through, and also when they talked me through exactly what to do, how it works, how many times the person I was flying with had done it before, it all started to feel a lot more normal. Also, then they started doing like, you have to run up to a ramp before you jump, before you take off. And they started to practice this. So all of a sudden, what seemed like something very scary seemed like something that's just broken into steps, and all you do is you follow someone who's done it thousands of times before. And I found that this was really just walking through everything, the worst that could happen, and also preparing and going over all the different steps one after another again and again was really, really helpful for me to take away that fear of actually doing something absolutely amazing, which it was, to be honest. And also what I've mentioned talking about this is that asking someone who's done it before can really, really help to take that fear away. So someone who's, in that case, paraglided before, there were people who were actually lining up who had flown before. So I was talking to a couple of them, and they said, well, they're doing it over and over and over again without being instructors, just because they love it so much, just that the views and the freedom and really the air and the wind in the face, everything that I've experienced as well. And I'm very grateful I did. Talking about fear and how to reduce that. So working with an expert, asking an expert, maybe for mentoring advice, maybe for coaching as well, can be extremely helpful in terms of taking away the fear as well. And what can be incredibly powerful as well, especially when it comes to scarcity mindset, is looking at all the achievements to date that you've had where things have worked, and you found the resources, you found the time, the opportunity, the money, whatever it took to actually achieve it. So an achievements board is a fantastic way of documenting all this, and also having something to look at any point in time where you think maybe that you feel fearful or you are encountering that scarcity mindset as well. And then finally, self-limiting beliefs and how to deal with them, what to do about them. So ultimately, recognizing that we all have some self-limiting beliefs is the starting point. And every time we think we can't do this or we shouldn't do this, asking the question why and why not is always the starting point. It's such a powerful question because it really helps us to start working through what is the exact reason why we think what we think. Because we might find that we've been just always told something from a child, and because it came from the parents, from family, maybe friends, we never questioned it. Not in a negative way, but we never asked the question why. Why do you say this? Why do you think this? Why does it apply to me? And being able to do this is very powerful, because this is where we also start disconnecting ourselves from seeing ourselves as part of someone else. So we're not just taking across their views, their opinions, their mindset as well. We think about ourselves and how do we think, how do we feel about certain things and doing certain things and achieving certain things above all as well, in a way that's aligned with our values, our goals, our ambitions, and our vision as well, and not necessarily just someone else's. So really, really important also for achieving goals, being clear about your vision, this being your vision, not someone else's, and really knowing what is yours and why you're pursuing certain things. So being very clear why you are following someone, what someone says, is very important, and especially with friends and family. They're so close to us. We grew up in that environment. And it's really important to make sure that we don't just absorb everything. We really ask ourselves what is ours and what works for us, and how will something be relevant to us and to the goals we want to achieve, as opposed to creating, for example, self-limiting beliefs. So with this, let me know if you have any questions about any of these, what I call mindset monsters. So challenges we experience around mindset, probably daily, one way or another. And I don't think there are any questions today. So one of the things I want to share is when it comes to mindset, something that I've been hearing a lot about, so it fits in really nicely, about self-limiting beliefs, but also taking over other people's views versus realizing what's my opinion and how, what is my mindset and my thoughts around that particular topic. So Napoleon Hill is an author who's repeatedly quoted as saying, if you can imagine it, you can achieve it. And I've heard this many times, and I also absorbed this. And when I started thinking about it, I realized that for me, that's not a fully complete statement. So, of course, you have, first of all, have a vision, you know, where you're heading, what you want to achieve. And that's an absolute starting point. If you don't know what you want, how can you ever get there? However, you can have someone else's vision, and I mentioned this before, which you might or might not necessarily believe. And, you know, this might be something with the family, with a partner, with a group. However, when you want to make sure that what you believe becomes reality, what you imagine becomes reality, you have to believe it first. So I agree that you have to imagine it first, but before you can create it, you do have to believe it. And to believe it, you have to make sure that you overcome your fears, if you have any, that you overcome your scarcity mindset, if there is such, and also you overcome self-limiting beliefs. So you truly believe that what you want to create, you can create. And then the next step is, of course, doing it. So that's what I wanted to share with you about mindset monsters, and how to overcome them. This is, if you have any questions at all, please do contact me at joanna@theaccountable-mindset.com, or join the group on Facebook, which is the Accountable Mindset Community. Thank you very much for joining me, and I will see you very soon.